What's going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone. Today we're talking about tuning and how to keep your guitar in tune. And actually, your guitar is never really totally in tune. It's 100% impossible. Let's talk about why. Thank you for coming in and watching this video. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the like button and the little bell next to it and all that kind of stuff. If you like guitar stuff, this is the place to be. We have like a lot of videos about guitar stuff. I think you'll dig it. You're gonna say, wait a minute, a guitar is impossible to keep in tune? Kinda, pretty much, yeah. That's really the short answer. I'm gonna show you a way today to mitigate that using a tool. However, let's talk about why first. We have our 12 notes, right? From here to here, and then 6 strings, obviously. But the thing is that they are technically equal distance apart. So what I mean by that is like this note right here. Those two notes are theoretically the same distance apart tonally as maybe these two notes, right? A half step. Typically, that would be 100 cents apart. Well, the thing is, they're not. In music, they are. Mathematically, they are. However, physically, when you play the guitar, they are not. Because physically, the way a guitar works, every time you fret the string, we're actually pulling down on the string, right? And we're pulling the guitar away from its perfect pitch. So we could tune this high E string perfectly to pitch. Right? But the thing is when I fret this note, I'm pulling it down, and there is a certain amount of tension on this side of my finger and this side of my finger, and I'm pulling it down a particular distance, and if my action is a little bit higher, I'm pulling it down more. If it's not as high, I'm pulling it down less. So, you know, they're in the tension of the string, and there's all kinds of physical factors that make it to where if we play the same note 1 octave apart, so this one, or this one of those notes is not perfectly in tune because of the physical limitations and construction of a guitar. And like I said, there are certain things about certain guitars that exaggerate this. So your nut height, for example. Remember in our videos talking about guitar setup over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how if your nut is too high, you can pull your cowboy chords out of tune, right? These lower chords down here can be out of tune if your nut is too high. It doesn't really super affect these up here, but it does affect these if your nut is too high. Conversely, if your saddle height is too high, then maybe these notes are not as in tune as those notes. Therefore, you have to basically compensate for all this stuff and kind of get it in the middle. Now, 98% of most of us are just going to put a clip-on tuner on our guitar, and we're going to get it pretty good. It's going to be perfect enough to be able to go and play in your gig this weekend. Folks that record and are a lot more in tune to this and have a tighter ear are going to really notice if that note right there, when I play my C chord, is being pulled out of tune. And it's not just those folks that have a really keen ear. It's also has to do with sustain and the cleanliness of the note and the chord, especially when you play notes together. Now you could play one note by itself, but let's use this one. Play one note by itself, right? But when you play two notes, they can start to fight against each other, and those harmonics can fight against each other, and it can be unpleasant to the ear. And theoretically, in an acoustic guitar especially, and actually in an electric guitar too, those harmonics can fight against each other and actually kind of kill sustain. If they're perfectly together and they really harmonize, they'll ring longer and more cleanly, okay? And you can notice that. If you have a guitar that's a little out of tune, you'll notice that it just dies out more quickly. So, how do we take it to the next level? I bought the Stroboplus HDC by Peterson. This is not a sponsored video. However, there is a link to it in the description of this video from Sweetwater, and if you use that link, it does help the channel a little bit, so I would appreciate it if you did. That would be awesome. This is very, very cool. This is a new tuner. It just came out. I was actually physically at Sweetwater and picked it up like the second day it came out. We're gonna go through, let me show you kind of the unboxing and the features of this tuner, and then I'm gonna show you why we're gonna use it and the additional tuner features that not every tuner has that are gonna take our tuning to the next level. We have a quick start guide that doesn't tell you anything, just refers to the instructions. And then we have the instructions in a few different languages. Inside the box, we have the tuner. Now, one of the things in the comments leading up to this video, people are saying, oh, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. So yeah, it's pretty big. And you notice it's not a pedal. This is like a benchtop tuner. So we'll get into the features here in a minute. And then there's a USB cable here, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So here is the tuner. We'll go over some of the hard buttons and I'll tell you kind of what's going on here. This is like a selection wheel and you can push in on it as well. Kind of our menu button over here, power button here, mode button, play, pause, we'll talk about what that is. And then this is like a deeper settings button. On the side, we have a volume so that you can adjust either the tone, because it's a tone generator, as well as your metronome volume is here. This is your input for your guitar. This is your output so that you can put it like on a pedal board, I guess, if you wanted to, or at least have it go out to the amp so that you could hear it. So into the tuner here and then out. Headphone jack for tones as well as the metronome. This little vibe input is for an accessory that Peterson makes that will give you a haptic feedback for a metronome. So it'll literally like tap you. USB, micro USB in here. There's an indicator light here, and then there's a microphone here. So a couple of things about this as we get going. This can be used with audio as well, as far as like a acoustic guitar, as well as plug a guitar in. Once you plug the guitar in, the microphone is disabled. When you turn it on, it defaults to the tuner. So you can literally turn it on and just start tuning. And then the next one is your metronome, and you can turn your metronome on. Let's turn the volume up. So now you can adjust a bunch of parameters here. You can set presets. You can adjust the timing, so we can go down to 3, 4. You can adjust whatever timing you want there. You can adjust the subdivision of the note. And then of course, once you get back to here, you can adjust your tempo. So that's your metronome. And there are also, once you plug it into the computer, you can adjust what you want it to sound like and a bunch of other parameters as well. Then we get over here to a timer. So now this is a timer so that you can set your practice time. So that is pretty much it for the tuner itself. As far as the buttons go, the other thing you can do is we can go over here to settings and we can set different display colors. So all your blue, your orange, your red, your green, all that stuff. We can set our sweeteners for our tunings, which we're going to get to in a minute. We can adjust how sharp or flat we want it to be in intervals. We can adjust the auto order of the presets, which we'll get into. There's 200 tuning presets in here, and we'll get into why in a minute. And that is pretty much, there's a couple other little settings in here too, but that you probably will never ever use. Most people are literally just going to turn it on and just tune with it. However, you see where it says guitar right here and it says sweetener? If I hit the settings button, I can change to equal or BFA. What do those mean? Let's get into that next. Okay, so you noticed a minute ago I was discussing the sweeteners. So put into the tuner some presets that will allow us to kind of sweeten that up. So tune it perfectly, but then maybe adjust one string a little bit one way or the other. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and tune this guitar equally first. Let's tune it as close as we can equally. So normal, equal distant between the notes. Okay, let's do that first. So this is equal tuning. I mean, the guitar's in tune. It sounds good. Let's now use Peterson's Sweetened Tuning for guitar. So we go over here and we switch from equal to guitar. Now here's what's interesting. When we tune this, watch what happens. Some of these notes will not be exactly the same as they were before. See how they're a little tiny bit sharp. The D was a tiny bit flat. Okay, now. So I can hear already everything's cleaner, it's tighter, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they ring more cleanly longer. Definitely there. I guess that's why they call it a sweetener. It is sweeter. It's just a little more. And what's weird is I wasn't making huge changes here. Okay, now let's take it to the next level. This guitar actually has buzz feeding tuning. If you notice, there's that little weird lump in the nut right here. McPherson uses buzz feeding on their acoustics. So there is a buzz feeding tuner preset in here that is a little different still. So let's flip over to that one. Sorry, had to wait for a golf cart to go by. Okay, so this is very interesting. I think the first position chords are pretty good. I don't like as much the higher position chords. So this is another thing that's kind of interesting about playing around with this tuning stuff, is since it's not equidistant, you can sweeten your tuning for where you play mostly on the neck. You might not like it as much. I don't. So I think I'm going to use the guitar Sweetened Tunings by Peterson. Yeah, immediately I like the guitar, the GTR preset better. Now the cool part about this tuner is there's like 200 of these in here. You can plug it in with a USB cable to your computer, prioritize. You could even build your own. Let's say, for example, with my Gibson SG Junior, where I have trouble with that G string, I could actually come out here and tune the G string, the guitar and the G string perfectly. And even if it's not perfect in the tuner, then I can go ahead and go into the software and adjust that and save it as a preset, so that when I play just that guitar, I can just switch over to that preset and I'm perfectly in tune for that guitar. You could do that for every one of your guitars. Up to 200 presets this thing will hold. What I like about it is it prioritizes by the latest one you use. So if I use this GTR one all the time with this guitar, when I turn it on, that's where it's going to be. So it's not confusing. Don't feel like it's a bunch of features that are going to get lost and you're going to get completely whacked out with, you know, a bunch of buttons and stuff. You could just plug it in and use it and tune with it and do setups with it, and it would be perfect for 99% of people. But I have figured out that just going that little extra bit makes a big difference in how the chords feel and sound. And you can't just do that with any tuner. I'll leave a link to probably my 3 favorite Peterson tuners in the description of this video so you can check them out. I think buying a tuner like this, especially for setups. Now, on this channel, we do all kinds of guitar setups and do all kinds of guitar tech stuff. And so we are gonna dive into this stuff pretty deep. So that's why I got this right away. For most of us otherwise, we're gonna go for a clip-on, or we're gonna go for the pedal tuner, which has the same technology available to it. So it's something to think about if you want to take your guitar tuning to the next level. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Please use the links in the description below, because that really does help out the channel and it's no extra cost to you, so I do appreciate it. Also, check out our live shows on Thursday, as well as some of the other content that we've got going. Patreon and join buttons are down there for early content, because they've already seen this video for a week before you did, so that's also a thing. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next video.